everybody, it's time for my favorite part of every single video that we do, the top 10 list. All right, please feel free, as I always encourage, to comment your picks for this video, for your favorite scary video games, or for any video that we do. Or if you don't feel comfortable putting your stuff out there, eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. The inbox is always open. Feel free to reach out, and let's chat. All right, love to hear from you. Let's go through this, because I'm really excited about it. A lot of good games here. Here are my top 10 favorite scary video games. My number 10. This is not just a Resident Evil list, I promise you. Although there are several entries from the Resident Evil franchise, this is not a Resident Evil list. But my number 10 entry is Resident Evil Survivor. This is the first Resident Evil game that I ever played. And my dad bought it from Blockbuster many years ago. I think this was actually the last Resident Evil game on the original PlayStation. I think they threw together something last minute, and not like last minute, but they threw together something just to hold over until the PS2 released, and they got Code Veronica underway, but they just wanted something out there. And this game was really cool. It was first person, which I do like, and it is kind of funny to watch it now, like watch it currently, because like the way that the city is set up, I think it's called like Sheena Island, it's so bad. Like the roads are super tight, and nothing. Their city planner was just terrible. It was just terrible. But I did love the first person view was excellent. And obviously it wasn't fluid. It wasn't super like a fluid first person shooter, but I think it helped with the aura. It helped out with the scariness of that game. Because you could be facing forward and shooting at an enemy, and you have no idea what's behind you or what's next to you. And until it grabs you, turns you around, or bites you, slashes you, attacks you, whatever it is. And it added a extra element of horror to it. And it was such a nice job, too, I think, incorporating a lot of different elements from the original 3 Resident Evil games. This is the only one where, like the hunters and lickers were in the same game, which was rare at that time. Obviously, I think it's been done since several times over, but the hunters were only seen in Resident Evil 1 and 3. The lickers were only seen in Resident Evil 2. And obviously, they had some other elements in there. There was the Mr. X Tyrant. There was the Cerberus. There was a lot of fun stuff to be had with this one. You'd play through. You'd have to kind of do it in one run. You could beat the game in like 2.5 hours. It moved pretty quickly. But I liked it. I did, and I replay it every now and then. Maybe one of these days soon, before the end of the month is up, maybe I can stream a little Resident Evil Survivor. It's cheesy. It's great. I think the fact that the graphics are so blocky and bad, it helps add to the scariness, because when some of these PS1 era zombies get right up in your grill, it is a little scary. It is a little scary, I will admit. But that's my number 10, Resident Evil Survivor. Number 9, this is one of 2 games that I've never finished that are on this list. And this one is from the PS2. I remember my dad having it. He may have beaten it. He probably did. He was really good about beating video games before he moved on from them. But it was called Siren. It's called Siren. And I don't know if a lot of people heard about it. I don't know if a lot of people played it. I didn't know what it was when my dad purchased it. I have it on a couple different consoles currently, and I should probably get to it. But it's really cool. It takes place in Japan, and there's a it's extra emphasis on stealth. And there's these like zombified, like some earthquake happened, and all of a sudden this whole population of this area is afflicted with some kind of sickness that makes them zombie-like, and extra weird and angry. I don't know. They're pretty much like zombies. But you traverse through these very dark, foggy environments, and you have to avoid these creatures. They can use guns and all sorts of different weapons. They're fully capable of that, so they're a little bit like above your standard zombie. But they had a cool system in it called a sight jack, where you'd press a button and you can maneuver around, and you can actually see from an enemy's perspective as to where, see what they're seeing, in hopes that you can avoid what they're looking at. There were some weapons in it, but it wasn't. It was definitely a game where stealth was more important than anything. Avoid these enemies at all costs. But it was cool. It told the story of like a bunch of. It was a group of people. There was like 8 or 10 different characters, maybe, that you could play as, and as you're progressing through the story, like you get to experience it through different characters' eyes, and but it was very intimidating. Again, the atmosphere was good. It was realistic, and you just had to be careful. One wrong move or misstep, and these things were going to come after you, and it was quite intimidating. So Siren is my number 9. Number 8 is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Resident Evil 4 Remake. I love the OG Resident Evil 4. I've talked about it. I've played Resident Evil 4 in the VR. Loved that. But one of the great things about these remakes is the attention to detail. A lot of those games were very well lit. All right. And like, I think back to Resident Evil 4 Remake, and even though there was some dark, scary, spooky moments, the lighting it was still too bright, I think, in some instances. Where this one, it really hones in on the dark atmosphere of things. When it's dark, it is really dark. You have maybe the flashlight to guide you, or some torches, or some candles. That's kind of your only lighting, but it did a really good job of setting the mood and atmosphere when it comes to that. So enemies can come out of nowhere, as long as they're not making noise. You have no idea. And just everything looked more realistic. The chainsaw stuff was way more scary. Some of the enemies were way more intimidating in the remake version. And ammo could be scarce at times. And you could break your knife, which was not good either. I liked that ability where, even though, like, in the old Resident Evil games, your knife was indestructible. Even if you ran out of ammo, you still had the knife that you could use. And this one, it wasn't certain. You can use it a bunch and break it, and you just had to kind of figure it out. And it took me a little while, but to get through it. I love it. It is my favorite, one of my favorite remakes of all time. It is so well done, and just from a scary perspective, I think it did a good job. So number 8, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Number 7, this is the only iPhone app one, Five Nights at Freddy's. One of my cousins had this and was preaching about it probably 10 to 15 years ago. She had it on her tablet. Or maybe it was iPhone. It was probably tablet. And showed me this game. I'm like, okay, this is pretty creepy. I played it once, and it's simple, but there's a uneasiness when you play it. And if you've never played this game before, what it basically is you are working at a Chuck E. Cheese kind of place, a place with a bunch of animatronics, but they move, and they're trying to get you. And you're in a control room. You have to operate these cameras, kind of see where they're going, and then you have to hold them off with steel doors. Right? You got to push a button to shut the door so they don't come in your control room and get you. And they move fast, and you got to be aware. And just some of the visualizations are creepy. The way that the animatronics look, the way their eyes are, how quick they can move, and just the dark atmosphere is really is uneasy. I will say the movie that came out a couple years ago, I did really enjoy. I thought they did a pretty good job of accentuating the creepiness of the animatronics. But yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's definitely deserves a shout out on this list. It is one of the greatest iPhone or just general app games of all time. So it gotta have it on this list because there definitely are some jump scares when it comes to that. So number 6, Silent Hill, the original PS1 OG. I bought this when I had a PlayStation 3 many years ago. Downloaded it off the PlayStation Network as a PS Classic. And, God, what a great game. What a great game. They did such a good job of utilizing the limitations of the PlayStation 1 console when it came to the fog, right? That was a technical thing. Couldn't have too much on screen at one time, so they had fog to kind of block out stuff, and you didn't know it was coming. You get some of the just dog-looking creatures, or those little weird children-looking things with the knives, or the flying Jersey Devil-looking creatures, and just the open world essence of it, going into homes, going into stores, going into schools and hospitals, and all that stuff added such a deep uneasiness. And this is one thing that Silent Hill has done particularly well with their game. I know there's a lot of comparison to Silent Hill and Resident Evil because they're both kind of, I don't know, they both kind of came out around the same time, and they both debuted on the original PlayStation. But that open world factor where you can kind of go anywhere. Resident Evil was pretty linear. It was tight, and I guess that's what makes it stand out and special. But Silent Hill had a early open world type atmosphere where if you go wandering too far one way, you could see something that you're not supposed to see quite yet, for better or for worse. And it did a good job. The school level is probably the creepiest one for me. Just walking in the hallways, and obviously you got that little radio thing that picks up when something's near, and then those little creepy big-headed kid things coming after you and stabbing you. The opening mission when you're in the alley trying to avoid them, and they all surround you and start stabbing you because you don't know. Right? You don't know what's supposed to happen. You think, oh, God, game over already, but it's actually a natural part of the game. Silent Hill is a psychological thriller, and it's very well done, and it belongs on this list. That's my number 6. Number 5, Left 4 Dead. Loved this game on the Xbox 360. I had a friend, Billy, and I used to go over his house all the time to play his Xbox, and we'd spend many nights playing Left 4 Dead. It was the survival aspect of it was really cool. Being with a partner was really cool, and then you'd have to listen to certain cues. Yeah, you'd shoot at these different zombies, but also you had to be careful of the witch. Right? If you heard crying, you had to navigate carefully. Or if you shot at her or made a noise around her, she'd come at you charging, screaming, and a whole host of other stuff. This is the only game I've never personally owned on here. This is the only one that I never personally owned, so I wish I could have gotten more time with it. But this is something I wish Resident Evil had kind of gone into, at least had a side game like this where you can pick a partner and go through a certain section and try to get to the other side. It was well built and well done, and I would buy an Xbox 360 just to play this game again. I really would. It's a great one. My number 4 is Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7. I love this game. I do. There's the first person aspect of it is well done. It was risky for them to do it because most of the Resident Evil games before them have been either the tank controls and fixed cameras or the over-the-shoulder look. So when you do the first person, it adds a new element of horror to your franchise. And I remember just being intimidated. You're in the house, right? In the main house. And you're walking around a corner and these molded things just start coming after you. Or Jack Baker runs out, comes through a door, busts down the door, and is chasing you with a sledgehammer or something. That made that game so much more special. I don't know. Like, I fell off a little bit after Resident Evil 5. Like, I started 6, but I never finished it. I did not like 6 at all, aside from the Mercenaries mode. And it took me a couple years to get to play Resident Evil 7. Well, like, I didn't get a PlayStation 4 until 2017. And I don't think I played Resident Evil 7 until probably mid-2018. Around that period of time, and it's good stuff. I still replay it every now and then. There's some cool extra features on it. Good storyline. Was glad to come back to it, and it's a very good game. And again, the limited ammo is like this game. It's excessive. Like as far as limited ammo goes, like there's not a overabundance of ammo at all. You're walking around frequently with like 7-8 bullets in your guns at a time, and it does a really good job of keeping you on your toes. So that's my number 4, Resident Evil 7. Number 3, The Last of Us 2. I thank my dad for letting me borrow this game when my son was born. I was home a lot, so I had a lot of time, and we'd take turns. Me and my wife would take turns. I would take the night shift. I would stay up late while she slept, and I would go to bed 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's how we'd rotate, maybe even a little bit later than that. So I'd stay up through the night playing The Last of Us 2. I powered through it. Another great example of how a well-designed open world works. And I still have yet to play the first Last of Us. I have it. I've just never had a chance to play it. But Last of Us 2 was my first one, and as somebody who loves zombie stuff, and to have that kind of crossover where you're battling zombie creatures as well as human creatures, was pretty crazy. Was pretty crazy. You know, going through some of these buildings, reading the stories, you know, going through like the old hotel, and that last one when you're in the basement of that hospital. I think it's the hospital. When you're Abby. Oh, it's not the last part, but that giant, I don't even know what the heck they called it. I wish I remember the name of it. It was like a king. Right, I had it. I had it somewhere. But anyways, the way these things would jump out at you and just and again, ammo could be scarce, but fortunately you could use a little bit of, you can use some different stuff, but yeah, it was fun. I like the two storylines with Abby and Ellie, and the realism. All right, shout out. Like I said in my lessons from the list, the realism of the environment. You could picture being in that city. You could picture your own city kind of being desolate like that. Scary stuff. So that's my number 3. Number 2, it's my last Resident Evil game on this list, is Resident Evil 2 Remake from a scary factor. This is the best. It handled the lighting just like Resident Evil 4 Remake did, but it handled it so much better. The police station was so much bigger, yet so much more intimidating with this. Because the original Resident Evil 2, it's bright. It's very bright. Even when it's dark, it's still bright. With this one, yeah, I mean, it's it's really, really dark. And again, the flashlight is your only means of keeping of viewing stuff, and sometimes that doesn't even work the way you want to. You could be walking through a hallway and a zombie just comes out of a door, or it's hiding in a shadow somewhere. You don't even see it coming, or you hear the licker. All right, the lickers climbing on the ceiling. You can't even see them sometimes because they're back so far away. And the best part of Resident Evil 2 Remake, the Mr. X Tyrant, the Pursuer. Got to be careful shooting your gun because Mr. X is going to come and find you. It's legit moving at all times. And, God, like, times, like, you're in a firefight, you're battling a horde of zombies or something, and then all of a sudden Mr. X comes out of nowhere, comes through a door, and just punches you. And it's a wrap. Great game. Great game. I have replayed it many a time, and it is one of my favorite. It's on my personal GOAT video games list. So that's my number 2, Resident Evil 2 Remake. And my number 1 is Manhunt, another one that I have replayed over and over and over again. I have been fascinated with this game, probably because I wasn't allowed to play it so early on, and rightfully so. This game is gruesome. It is graphic, but it does pale in comparison to a lot of the games that are out nowadays. And I would not be disappointed if they decide to remake, remaster, or carry on some sort of storyline when it comes to Manhunt. I think it would do big, big money. Linear, but there's I like this one way better than Manhunt 2. Manhunt 2 felt like there was too many scripted moments. Where this one, it felt very organic. Right? It felt like you could progress. And then if you're not progressing fast enough or you do something wrong, you got the director yelling in your ear. The locations, relatable. Right? In this broken down carcer city with abandoned buildings. We've all walked past abandoned buildings or doing stuff in streets, railroad, by railroad tracks and in other places. The gangs were all iconic. They all stood out in their own special way. They all had these special gimmicks and personalities. And a lot of long nights freaking out about this one. The music is great. It's pretty calm until you get noticed, and then if you get noticed and are being chased, the tempo of the music is so tense and so heavy, it kind of scares the crap out of you. And it's not a great hand-to-hand fighting. Not great. It's an extra emphasis on stealth with it. Some of the firefight stuff is a fun time too when you start getting into some of the guns. But there's a lot of fun replayability with this game. But it's scary. It's, you can take out a gang member, go hide in the shadows and look and just watch 3-4 of these characters come to check in on them. And you could be going after one to try and take him out, and then another gang member spots you and comes and chases you down, and all of a sudden you thought you had the advantage on this one, but now every gang member in the area knows and is on high alert, and you got to run and try and find a shadow to hide or somehow defend yourself. Great stuff. And that is my list. That is the top 10 scary games list. Please comment your favorites. I'd love to hear about it. But that is it, everybody. Thank you so much. You have a great weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday. Till next time, do you even list?